got anything to do, come on over.
I haven't heard from John, I'm gonna wait one more minute.
Thought that was just. Mine on the boat.
I think he's on the porch for that. Now 6:31 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Fenton Township Board meeting on this 4th day of August, 2026. I ask everyone to please stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Gopal, will you please lead us?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Heavenly Father, bless us as we gather here tonight. Help us nurture the bonds of our community. Guide us to make decisions in the best interest of the township and its residents. We pray for an end to the conflicts in the world today. Continue to look over and bless our community and our country. We ask these things in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As always, Mark, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yep. Lorraine,
Present.
Reed, is absent. Clark,
Here.
Kruger's present. Kessler's absent. Gopal,
Here.
present. And Tucker is absent. You do have a quorum.
Okay, I'd like to note for the record that our Township Attorney, Jack Belzer, our Assistant Manager, Megan Gito, our Zoning Administrator, Mike Dean, and our Assessor, Julia Wilson, are present this evening. Thank you, Julia, for joining us this evening. Additionally, the following Township officials are present via Zoom. Our Township Engineers, Alan and Melissa Lawrence. Megan, will you detail the procedures for those attending tonight's virtual meeting?
Yes. To the members of the public attending tonight's meeting, in person or via Zoom, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded to be shown on public access television, Spectrum Channel 191. Recorded meetings are also posted on the Fenton Area Community Television YouTube channel. For those attending via Zoom, we ask that you keep your microphone muted until we reach the portions of the meeting where public comment is allowed. For tonight's meeting, there is one public hearing on the Tory Ruth Channel Improvement Special Assessment District, during which public comment will be taken. All other public comment will be taken near the end of the meeting. Meeting materials are available for download on the Township's website at fentontownship.org.
Thanks, Megan. All right, first order of business is the approval of the agenda. Are there any requests to amend tonight's agenda? Hearing none, a motion is in order to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Kirby, will you please call the roll?
I vote yes. Clark,
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Reed is absent. Gopal,
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Lorraine.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The agenda stands approved as presented. Moving on to meeting minutes. Included in the packet are the meeting minutes from the July 21st regular meeting. Are there any corrections or requested revisions to these meeting minutes? Hearing none, the meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Moving on to expenditures. Are there any questions from the board this evening regarding any of the expenditures? Those usually come from Trustee Tucker. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion regarding the payment of expenditures totaling $1,074,480.92 for payment.
Motion to approve?
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Reed is absent. Gopal.
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Kessler's absent. Lorraine.
Yes.
I vote yes. Clark.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And the expenditures stand approved as presented. Moving on to the next business order is public hearings. This is the one public hearing that Megan talked about. This is the Tory Ruth Channel Improvement Special Assessment District. This is the hearing on the special assessment roll. We've all reviewed the memo in our packet. Assistant Manager Gita, will you please review?
Yep, so the proposed assessment amount per parcel is $10,484.17, spread over 15 years is what was decided upon, plus interest. Obviously, they can pay that off ahead of time if they'd like to. And then that would be due once the project is underway, it's not gonna be on this year's tax roll because we have to wait for Eagle permits and all of that stuff to occur. So the timing will be when the project occurs, then the December of that year is when it'll go on the tax roll.
So December 2027?
2020, or if it happens in 2028, then it would be December of 28, so on and so forth. Yep,
Is that it?
that's it.
All right. The board will now accept public comment on the following: an individual's assessment in relation to the benefit received, the total cost of the project, and the validity of the proceedings to date. Is there anyone here in attendance that would like to address the board? And again, this is only on the special assessment for the Toy Root Channel. Anyone? Hearing none, I'll move on to Zoom. Is there anyone attending via Zoom that would like to address the board? Again, this is only on the Tory Root Channel. If so, you can unmute, wave your hand. Okay, hearing none, I will now close the public hearing. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, resolution number 2026-17. Clerk Krug, will you please present the resolution?
Yes. It confirms special assessment roll number 2026-03 as the assessment roll, pardon me, for Tory Road Channel Improvement Special Assessment District, divides the assessment into 15 installments, with the first installment due December 1st of the year in which the project is completed, sets the interest rate at 5%, provides an early payoff option, and assesses 1% per month penalty on late installments, directs the clerk to deliver the special assessment roll and with warrant attached to the treasurer, directs the treasurer to collect special assessments, and it repeals any conflicting resolutions. I will move the resolution.
Okay, before I entertain that, if I could, I just want clarification. Megan, could you give us the percentage? And again, Treasurer Tucker does such a great job explaining this, that, you know, this board really has nothing to do with this. We are usually approached by the board. We don't initiate these special assessment districts. We're approached by the board. They're required to go out and get a certain percentage of signatures. Then we open up for a public meeting. So really, this is just the board approving what they have decided to do. It's not us. So
Correct.
And Treasurer Tucker does a great job trying to explain that, but I just wanted to make sure that this vote tonight is really just approving what our residents want for that channel. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay, the motion has been moved.
Second.
Yes,
Did you
I
say-
move the
Yep,
resolution.
and then Mark.
Oh, Mark, just second it?
Yep.
Okay, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Clark,
Yes.
Kessler's absent. I vote yes. Gopal,
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Lorraine,
Yes.
Reed is absent. The resolution passes.
All right, moving on to reports. Tonight we have two reports. We are going to start out with our zoning administrator report from our zoning administrator, Mike Deem, and he is going to be giving the June and July 2026 update.
Yeah, so a copy of the report was included in your packet. I'll just give you some highlights about what's going to be coming from the Planning Commission hopefully in the next few months here. There was a rezoning for the old Ward Farm at Ripley and Ralston. That was tabled due to concerns about the traffic study. Township has hired an independent traffic engineer to review that traffic study. They replied back with their initial comments. They've sent those over to the applicant for them to make updates. Then our traffic engineer will attend the next Planning Commission meeting when they're available. We anticipate to be the first meeting in September, which would be September 10th. So that would be for rezoning. They would be theoretically making a recommendation to the board at that meeting, which would come in front of you guys. There's also some draft zoning language that the planning commission's been reviewing regarding setbacks for side yards and lot coverage. As you guys know, August 27th, we're having a joint meeting between the zoning board and planning commission, and the township board's been invited also. Fire chief will be giving a presentation on fire safety and things to consider when we're reviewing developments, when we're reviewing variances, when we're looking at building permits regarding setbacks, and things to consider when we're reviewing variances. The other thing that will be coming in front of you guys shortly is the planning commission will be reviewing RFP for opening up the master plan. So after they review that and make a recommendation, that'll be back in front of the township board. Other things going on, zoning board reviewed a couple of home occupations, pretty standard stuff, and you guys know what you've been reviewing, so
That it?
that's it.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? Great report, Mike. I just want to let everybody, I'm sure everybody heard our zoning administrator, but bottom line is that Mike and I have talked about this. We've heard from our residents saying that they would like us to open up. We're not in our 5th year, but I agree with our residents in the sense that we should open up that master plan. And Mike, do you have a time frame when you'd be coming back with us with those RFPs?
Well, I think,
The recommendation, I mean.
so the recommendation, right, so what, meeting is next Thursday, so if not for the next board meeting, the following board meeting?
Would you like to discuss a timeline or wait until that process is done before we talk about, when we're gonna start the process, that sort of stuff?
I think that discussion will start with the planning commission,
Start,
we'll work it
okay.
out there and then
Go from
make a
there.
recommendation to you guys.
Thanks, Mike, appreciate it. Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next report, which is the Genesee County Sheriff's Department second quarter report. We have 2 people with us tonight. We have our Sergeant Scott Pritchard and Deputy Mackenzie Rose, which is the Intel analyst that will go over and review that report. Good evening.
So Fenton Township for the second quarter had 845 police calls, 149 written complaints, 11 motorist assist, 21 moving violations, 41 non-moving violations, 19 citations issued, 50 traffic warnings, 2 OWI arrests, 5 driving while license suspended arrests, 3 felony arrests, 15 misdemeanor arrests, 5 felony warrants, 10 misdemeanor warrants, 65 vehicles stopped, 2 open intox arrests, 60 crashes, 39 medical calls. And tonight, I'd like to talk about, so Fenton Township, we've had cases in the past where adults and children met online through social media platforms. This last quarter, we had a case where a man drove here from South Carolina to meet a 13-year-old female. This individual began speaking with this female on social media when she was 10 years old. Tonight, I would like to talk about how this can be prevented with internet safety measures. Here with me tonight is Deputy Mackenzie Rose, who is our Intel analyst, who can explain more about internet safety and how cell phone safety work. So, Deputy Rose.
Thank you. So Deputy Rose, Genesee County Sheriff's Office. I am our Intel analyst. So anything involving cell phones, kind of digging into social media, figuring out what's happening, that kind of all comes to me. So cell phones, oh, sorry.
No, there's a reason we're doing that. I'll
Yes.
elaborate later.
So cell phones, internet, anything online, kids are very tech savvy. Kids will outsmart parents 9 times out of 10. So we are trying to be proactive, and before anything happens, we're trying to keep our kids safe. So right now, research suggests that the average kid is getting their cell phone before they're 12 years old. That's an 80% chance a child is going to have the phone before they are even 12. The average kid is about 11 to 12. When you first get that cell phone, you're creating your own digital footprint. And when you give a child a cell phone, they need to understand, do they know what that digital footprint is? Everything that you post, you like, you search, you are creating your own digital footprint, and that is going to be with you for your entire life. Thank you. So how do we keep our kids safe? We obviously can't always see what they are doing 24/7, 365 days a week. So there are actually apps out there that you can purchase for different prices. Some offer different services. Each one offers something a little bit different, but their end goal is the same. It's protecting the child and having peace of mind for their parents. So there's a couple different ones. If anyone here, this is a great time if you want. You can take a picture of the screen. If we could move to the next one. Sorry, I don't know
just tell it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You're in control, just tell them to move.
So where is time being spent? How do we see what's going on in a cell phone? So that can be broken down between if you're an Android user or if you're an Apple user. So on the screen, I have it kind of put into different sections to figure out what's going on in a phone. Not every parent is tech savvy, so I'm here to help with that. So if you look at the screen, it can kind of navigate you through on how to having your phone open and being able to navigate all the way into the settings to see where your phone is actually breaking down what you're doing category by category. And again, great spot on that last slide to take a picture, if anyone would like to. So once you're able to navigate into that settings, this is actually a screenshot of my digital, oh, sorry, can we go back for a moment? Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're good, this is why I have it up.
Go back to the one with the app.
We're glad you're taking it.
And then if we could go back one more slide, please. Thank you. Thank you. Now if we could go back forward. So this is actually my digital well-being. It breaks it down pretty thoroughly. You can see that I've spent 58 minutes on Hulu. I've been in my messages for 28 minutes and in my Google Maps for 26 minutes. And then if you go and actually click down into video, social media, travel, it actually breaks it down even farther to see where the kids are actually spending their time. Like what apps are they on the most? Where are they spending all their time at? And it breaks it down, which is kind of nice to know. And then if we could go to the next slide. So what's in their phone? So all of these different social media platforms, chatting platforms, are all things that we see. These are all different stuff that we're seeing right now coming through that individuals are chatting. 9 times out of 10, we are seeing minors communicating with adults, sending explicit images, meeting up, and engaging in sexual relations. And that's where the phone comes to me. I will do a forensic download on their phone and see where the conversation was able to start. Snapchat is a very scary one that has a location in it actually, and the location is scary accurate on where it's able to pinpoint you on. There's also a file within Snapchat called My Eyes Only, and it's a secret folder that you're able to store pictures on, and there's a passcode to get into that. So that's one more thing that parents need to be aware of. Same thing with the hidden files inside their phone, a secret vault to store images and videos, as well as a secondary calculator. Those are all apps used to help hide information that parents need to be aware of. And then, do they have a passcode on their phone? Do parents know what the passcode is to even get into their child's phone? That's something that they need to be aware of also. So minimum ages to use. The vast majority of any social media platform app out there has a minimum age that a child can be in order to use that app. These are the ones that we see that are most prevalent is Discord, TikTok, Snapchat, and Facebook. A lot of different platforms offer a child or teen account which restricts what they're able to see, what they're able to do, and who can communicate with this minor, which helps keep the child safe. Again, if anyone wants to take a picture, great spot for it. And then if we can move to the next slide, please. So Take It Down is something that was created by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Take It Down helps remove any nude images out there of a child. If you submit, it's a whole process. You're able to submit saying, hey, this photo was taken of me when I was under 18 years old. It is out there on the internet. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is able to go out there and ultimately scrub the internet of that photo and help the child get their images removed off of online, which is something a lot of people are not aware of, but it is a great tool if a child has images that are out there. And then if we could go to the next one. And then that is all the presentation. I try to get a lot of information out there very fast for you guys so you can stay on track with tonight's board meeting.
Deputy Rose, you did a great job.
Thank
Just
you.
a couple of things, and I think I know what our trustee over here is gonna say, is that we are gonna put this up on our social media. Tomorrow you will make sure that that is done. Have you already done, this type of a presentation, maybe a little expanded, that could be broken up into pieces, where you can go out there and put teasers on, so parents can, you know, where you can reach a lot of people on social media, so parents are seeing what you're doing?
Yep,
And be able
so,
to do this, because we're going to hit a certain number of people.
yes.
But at the same time, and a lot of people will share that.
Mhm.
But this is something that, as a parent, I didn't, and I consider myself really savvy and smart. I didn't know a little bit of, you know,
Yep, so I do have this is a very condensed presentation. I do have a longer one about, more tips and tricks for parents, different things to be aware of, all on online safety that I do have. I kind of pulled the important stuff down for today, but I do have a larger one for online safety.
so we could grab that
Mhm.
from you,
Yep.
Megan?
Yeah, just send it to me and I'll get it to our social media coordinator.
Yep, so it's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That is a website for the public. They have tons of different resources for parents, teachers, coaches. They explain different social media platforms. They are a huge resource for trying to keep children safe.
Any questions or comments from the board? Or
Nice
Deputy
presentation.
Rose or
Thank you.
our sergeant? Great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm sure Megan or somebody from this office, our social media director, will be reaching out to you. I think this is extremely important. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Saving our children is nothing better. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any committee reports to be made this evening? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on to the next business order, which is communications. We have none tonight. Adoption of ordinances, we have no ordinances tonight. Unfinished business, none. Moving on to new business. This is, resolution number 2026-18, proposed street lighting special assessment district, Stony Brook 2. Assistant Manager Gito will review.
Yep, so the property owners of Phase 2 of the Stony Brook the subdivision, they filed petitions to create a street lighting special assessment district for their section of the development. The signatures on the petition submitted represented 52.95% of the total land area, with 33 out of the 62 property owners signing the petition. So they're looking to put in 11 lights because when they tried to do this back in '21, it was a higher number of lights, but when West Winds 2 did theirs, there was some overlap in the street lighting, so they were able to reduce the amount of lights that were needed to be put in. So the next step in the process is to conduct a public hearing, which is what the resolution's about, and we're scheduling that for the August 18th meeting.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, resolution number 2026-18, Clerk Crew, will you please present the resolution?
Yes, it acknowledges the receipt of special assessment petitions for the proposed improvement. Tentatively declares the township's intent to install and operate streetlights in the second phase of Stony Brook condominium subdivision. Tentatively delegates the special assessment district as Stony Brook 2 Light Special Assessment District, which includes units 41 to 102 of the Stony Brook condominium subdivision. Schedule a public hearing for August 18, 2026. And that's the township board meeting. Directs the clerk to publish and mail the hearing notice in accordance with statute. It repeals any, conflicting statute. I'll move the resolution.
Second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Clerk Crew, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Gopel,
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Clark,
Yes.
I vote yes. Reed is absent. Kessler is absent. Lorraine,
Yes.
resolution passes.
All right. we got a second thing under new business, which is the approval of the ballot proposal language. This is for the trash collection assessment. Assistant Manager Gito, will you explain in detail?
So the 2025 property tax roll was the final year of the trash collection, a special assessment approved by the voters in 2022. So the funds collected from the 2025 assessment are being used to pay for the 2026 service year. So in order to continue the township-wide residential trash collection services, we'll have to place the issue on a ballot for November 3rd, 2026 general election. There's no contract has been awarded yet for the 2027 to 2030 period where it will, for the assessment, but we'll be going out for RFP on that in September. So we need to approve the ballot language to get it to the county in time in order to put it on the ballot. So,
Is it 260 flat, or does it depend on the results of the RFPs?
no, the 260 is flat because
And is
we've
that-
gone out and looked at what comparables are,
And
and
is
that's
that
where we're at.
similar to what we had in the last 22 to 25?
It's gone up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much? Any idea?
I think it's 210 now. I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. So,
Okay.
yeah, just gas prices, that kind of stuff.
Understood.
It's increased the cost.
So the public knows.
What it was is we received one proposal from
Mhm.
our current supplier, or current provider. Tom and I looked at that, we looked at the different proposals, and as you know, this board doesn't go without RFP, and I agree
No.
with it 100%, so we just said, we're gonna still put it out. So we used those numbers and looked at what they were doing currently, and then kind of backed into a number, and we wanted to be
Conservative. And
conservative, make sure that we were covered. So, but it'll still be going out for our RFP, it'll still be coming back
Yep.
to this board once, and we'll be able to discuss that, so we'll have another 2 meetings.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, I will entertain a motion. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the trash collection ballot proposal language for the November 3rd, 2026 general election as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Krug, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Kessler's absent. I vote yes. Reed is absent. Lorraine,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Tucker. Gopel.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thanks, Bob.
Got him in there. All right. Moving on to the next business order is board comment. Is there anyone on the board that has additional comments or concerns?
One comment, very short. Elections are still going to 8 o'clock at the high school. If you haven't voted, please come out and vote. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next business order is public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to address the board on agenda or non?
If I may, and the board can do whatever it wants, but public comment is for the public to comment to the board. It's generally not a question-answer thing. And what I'm concerned about is when one board member responds to a question from a resident, that's not the board talking, that's the one person. And sometimes it gives a confusing perception to the public. And so when we individually say something to somebody up there at the podium, it's not a board decision, it's just one person talking. And it's not, general law townships are different. But a charter township is public comment, but it's not meant to be an open forum. You can do whatever you want, but just so it's clear, be careful what you say if you're gonna respond to somebody talking up there, because you're just talking one person, that's not, somebody's locked in. I know.
No, it's the workers.
No, I'm joking, I'm
AVs.
joking. Just so you're clear that when you say those things, sometimes it confuses people, thinking that's what the board said, and it's not what the board said, because if you don't vote, the board isn't saying it.
Well, I also, and I've discussed this with you, I was concerned only for the reason being is a lot of the times questions can be asked that we are not prepared to answer. And, somebody who has a tendency to want to answer it, you want to appease the people that are approaching. At the same time, it's probably not a good time, because there has been questions in the past that people have asked, even me directly. And I wasn't prepared to answer, so I understand that. So as a legal, your recommendation would be just to let people
Yeah, and if
talk
they
and
have a
then-
question, they can always come to the hall tomorrow and say, hey, what about da-da-da-da-da? I mean, and again, you can do whatever you want, but I'd just like it to be clear that as you answer things, sometimes you confuse people, think, well, the board said, because the board didn't say.
Can I throw something out there also? Sure. While we're still quasi in board comment. Would it be out of place for, because it doesn't sit right with me a lot of times where we vote on things and then at the end I know we have public comment after the first reading. But is there any way we could move the public comment up, higher up to the beginning? Because I see a lot of times where a lot of people will come in and have a comment, but they're commenting on something that already passed or was not voted on. Does the public comment have to be at the very end of everything?
Not that I know of. It's always been there
I
since I've
understand
sat in this
that,
seat.
but I also think a lot of times the public comment is it's kind of moot because what the people were commenting on in the last couple of meetings have kind of really, I mean, we already voted on it and then they're gonna comment on it. Is
Well,
there any way we could move that?
I agree with what you're saying, but the only thing is that that's why you have, on things that we would
I
open up
understand.
to public comment.
I understand.
There's the meeting we have,
Yep.
they get to talk at that meeting. And then the next time, it would be to vote on that process. So the public does have the thing. I thought this part of it was just for on agenda, non-agenda, it could be on an agenda item,
Yeah, oh, I
But-
understand, I was just saying,
mainly non-agenda items that maybe they want to discuss or talk about, that sort of stuff. So
but also, I mean, when people have comments on long meetings, it keeps them here for 2 hours.
let me look into it. I mean,
I'm
as long as
just-
Yeah,
Jackson.
the board can vote to change that agenda, you don't have to do it, and some municipalities have it at the start, some have it at the start or the end. You know, you have to be real careful with your time limits on that, because otherwise, you may be sitting here for hours, like some of the ones you see on Facebook.
Yeah, I understand that, but I also, I mean, when judges and representatives wanna come and say something, and we have long meetings, they're sitting here, they wanna speak a 2-minute thing or a 1-minute thing.
I always
and
tell them to show up at the end of the meeting and give me an idea of what's on the agenda and tell them to be here appropriately.
I understand.
You could,
I'm
the
just
board
throwing
can
it out
vote
there.
to however you wanna set the agenda.
I'll look into it, Mark, if you
whatever.
want to, just call, and we'll talk about it and figure out, I'll talk to Tom about that too, after we get through this crazy evening, maybe after lunch tomorrow. Any other board comment?
I have 2 comments with respect to that. First of all, I'm in agreement with Mark in terms of the concept. I always, at the planning commission level, I take public comment even if the statutory requirement isn't there. And I do that for the reasons that you're espousing. People come, they wanna say something. Well, I wouldn't be opposed to have a public comment at the second reading before the vote, even though the statute doesn't require it. I don't think it prohibits it.
Yeah, you-
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Then you wouldn't have to mess around with the agenda, because, moving it up to the front can be problematic too. The second thing is with respect to Jack, what you said, 100% agree. The problem is that if everybody understands that we're not gonna respond to questions, it then gets weaponized. And I will give you an example in Township. Somebody got up and said.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Exactly. Somebody got up and said, have you all signed an NDA? And I don't know if you know what this is, it's much ado about zero, absolutely nothing, because they don't exist. The issue that they're trying to plant in people's minds is that everybody up on the board has signed an NDA from whatever bad developer group that you wanna identify, with, data centers, whatever it is, have come and asked us to sign NDAs because they're putting money in our pockets. So they get up at the podium and they say, have you signed an NDA? And they sat there, okay, because of what Jack said. That's not a bad answer, but then what immediately happened is online, everybody that didn't answer was presumed to have signed an NDA. It was in the pocket of the developers, and there were death threats and, whatever, all sorts of bad things. So I agree with what you're saying in concept. Nobody's gonna do that to me, okay? They get up there and they're trying to weaponize something, I'm gonna come back at them. I'm gonna respond to it. It ain't gonna happen. And the whole NDA thing is just, it's an imaginary problem that is created to give the perception of wrongdoing. And that, I don't like that. That's not my gift, so.
No, and I appreciate the comment, and I think, Tom was here, he could lend affirmation, but I think I've been on the board 15, 16, 17 years. And I think we've really done a great job, so I think that, we've always allowed people, and if we have the answers, we've answered people. So I think we just keep going down the same, road that we're doing, because I think it's worked. I don't think we've had any issues, maybe on the last vote, maybe they, that's why you brought it up. But, I think we do a great job, and we always do answer anyway. So, to me, it doesn't.
I'm probably the biggest culprit there. Sorry.
No.
His point's valid, but,
Yep.
Again, I'm with Mark. I like to exchange information, and I like to resolve things. Jack's point's valid.
Yeah.
I'll try and keep them up to the commission.
I mean, it's just a matter of making sure everybody understands it's one person talking, not the board.
I understand what you're saying. You're right. It's me, or it's John. It's not the board, formally. All right, any other board comment? All right. Oh, I've already opened it up for agenda, non-agenda items, haven't I? Megan? All right, yeah, okay. All right, is there anyone here that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items?
Or have we intimidated you?
No, don't feel intimidated. Sure.
Jeff Shoemaker. Couple things. One, their sheriff department deal. I don't know if they try to present anything at the school. Lake Fenton School did do a presentation, I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, and I don't have the name of it, so I apologize, but they advertised through all of their, text to parents, emails to parents, whatever, for like 6 months on this talk that this PhD guy was going to do, that was going to come in school and talk about social media, technology, screens, blah, 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 to kids. And I went to it. It was at the auditorium in the high school, and I think there were 12 people there, which is horrible, because they advertise this thing all the time. Like, they put this thing out big time, and literally 12 people showed up. And unfortunately, he didn't have it on a
Flash drive.
yeah, so he couldn't give it to you to share, or give it to the teachers, or give it to a parent, or give it to a friend, or whatever. But it was absolutely fascinating. Like, for me anyways, mind-blowing fascinating, to the extent of, I won't go into it too long, but, screens and kids at certain ages, especially under 12, but are more addictive than heroin to kids. And it scientifically, and because he was a PhD guy, he had all the data, all the facts, all the slides, like he could show you. You're literally ruining these kids' brains. And another part that stuck with me that, sounds crazy, but it's not. It's scientific data he had from going back, like, basically at the beginning of MySpace, I think was one of the first ones that came out. And they had been studying testosterone levels in males since like 1920 or something. And as soon as that hit, it literally falls off the planet. Like, you're changing the makeup of humans' brains. So, theirs is a little bit different, but similar. Theirs goes into the even worse side of it. But if you could get anybody to listen, it's crazy how important it is. So, that I just figured I'd put my 2 cents on, because I just happened to walk into it.
Appreciate it.
And the other was, I think you already touched on it, but I did wonder, is there anything being done to deal with changing, addressing, talking about, considering changing the master plan? Because obviously from the last million meetings, the public has certainly made it known they don't want what is on the master plan. And for the most part, you guys, planning commission, whoever, can't vote against the master plan. So until you change the master plan, you're just gonna hear the same thing over and over and over again, and nothing's gonna get done.
Yes, Mike and I have talked about it, as it was stated. It's already, usually it's done every 5 years, but we have already decided to open that up. So it is a planning commission, so the planning commission is gonna go out, talk about it amongst the planning commission. They will come with a recommendation for a timeline, everything else, for the RFP and everything else. So we plan on probably in 2027 opening that up. And again, we did a great job, I think, disseminating that information as best as we could. We didn't have probably the participation from the residents that we should have had, but now there's no excuses. There's sites out there, there's, you know, Facebook pages and everything else. So once it's all done, just stay in touch. We'll disseminate it on all of our social media. Once that is all put in place, I tried to nail Mike down, but he said once it comes forward in a, you know, formal request to the board will vote on it, and after that, there's a timeline, and it will be open.
Cool, sounds good, thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks. Anybody else here that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? Yes?
Just a quick question, and I did hear what you said and about questions and that kind of thing.
ask a question?
I am.
She is.
I know that we have a moratorium on data centers right now, and I think it's until February or March of '27. What I want to know is the public going to be able to, to participate in what we would like to be able to see in that? I just wondered how that's going right now.
You mean if somebody applied right now to do a data center with the
Well, I know
township?
that they can, but nothing can be done because there's a moratorium. But I guess I would like to know, has anything been addressed so far? Are you guys working on
Yeah,
that?
we got a draft.
Okay.
Is it just a draft, Mike?
Yeah, we're not ready for public hearing yet. There's a couple items. We've been a little busy lately, right? So, September, we'll be back on the agenda for the next draft review.
And we got a draft ordinance, there's public comment that goes along with that.
Okay,
Now, that is at the planning commission level, so
Right.
you gotta kind of pay attention
Okay.
to those minutes. But yeah, the public
Okay.
comment will be welcome. People that wanna come to meetings, they can send things in.
okay,
If I can give you just a teaser of what the concepts are, we're trying to limit it to areas where there's municipal water and available infrastructure, and, you know, it's gonna limit the places where it could go. We
Okay.
can't just say you can't have them, that goes
right.
back to.
No, and I understand that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to
No,
know
I know you
how
do,
much
but-
public input
Yeah.
could,
Yeah, no, that's, happy to
Okay.
hear, but those were Mike's concepts that he's kind of been pitching to us.
Okay.
I think it's a legitimate way to look at it.
okay,
And if you look at where it narrows the areas that would work down, it probably does what you want it to do.
okay, all right.
And again, I think the federal government right now is working on things where, I think there's, I know there's been an executive order, correct, but I don't know if Congress is gonna deal with it, where, bottom line is, if a data center was to come in, they have to supply their own, they have to be power positive, I guess. Well, we don't have enough land, you know, we
No,
had this
I-
conversation.
Yeah,
we
and I
can't
realize
stop
it,
'em.
right, and I realize all that. I just kind of wanted to know.
Public will
How that's-
certainly
Okay,
be able to be
perfect.
a big voice in that.
All right, great, thank
And
you.
again, stay on the planning commission, attend their meetings,
Yeah.
or whatever you have to do, or, watch them on Zoom from the
Yeah.
convenience of your home, and watch how that process works through.
Okay, out of curiosity, do you guys in the minutes ever reflect how many people were in the audience attending a meeting?
Don't have straight attendance, we'll have comments if different people say things.
Okay.
The comments show up and.
Right, and I
we
know
don't report,
comments
you know, If
do,
you
I-
just sat back and listened like some of these folks today, they wouldn't show up.
No.
Okay, I just wondered if they ever reflected how many people were actually in the audience, and how many people spoke, how many people are on Zoom? If
One
that's
thing I
ever
have noticed, if
reflected.
you look at other municipalities, if there's something really important,
Mhm.
and Tyrone Township, usually the news media is there with cameras,
Right,
and there's 200 people.
right, and I
So
understand
usually,
that,
I think
right.
if something comes across where there's gonna be
Yeah.
400 or 500 people packing it, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about how many people are
No,
gonna know who attended.
I understand that, but in the past, there have been comments made about people not showing up to meetings, and I realize that the turnout has not been that great. But I just wondered how many need to actually show up to make a point, I guess, is kinda, and if
Just one.
there's no reflection.
Only one.
Yeah, you're
We
doing,
listen to
you're
all
doing
the
it right
voice.
now.
Okay.
We listen to all the voice.
Okay,
Whether
well,
there's 100 of you or one of you.
I agree with that, only one, but we've had many people coming up to the podium expressing their thoughts and their concerns, and someone has made reference to, that's not enough, that's not an accurate reflection of what the other residents who aren't showing up to the board meetings actually want to see happen. So it's kind of a double-edged sword kind of thing. You guys are saying one thing, it appears that one thing is being said and another thing is being said, and which is true.
Well, Susan, the problem with that is the premise is false. The premise is that we all, that zoning is a popular. So it's kind of or an opinion poll, or anything like that. The one point that I've been trying to say, and I understand statistics, so I do want to see a broader reach. I mean, you could create a scenario where 30 or 40 people have a unified message, but it isn't reflected by the rest of the community. I don't think that's, I don't know.
Right.
So I think it's important to go out and see the rest of it. What I think is more important is the people that understand that voting isn't a popularity contest or an opinion poll. It is you have to have a plan, you have to follow the plan, or whatever ability you have to regulate growth, not prohibit it,
Right.
gets taken away from you and you get spanked with 7-figure money judgments. So that's the starting point where we think if enough people line up and say no to something, we can just say no. That's a bad premise. That's a bad starting position to come from, in John Tucker's opinion, not the board.
My opinion, it's the opposite.
Well, you and I will have discussions, because we do that from time to time.
Yeah, we do.
And you're a reasonable, rational man, and I will show you the errors of your ways.
And I will show you the errors of yours,
I am
sir.
open to that, sir.
Absolutely.
I'm right in the middle, and I think you and I have sat out in that chair and out in the parking lot and talked.
But want to
I was elected by whatever the total number of, 1,700 some odd people. And I was elected to do a job with a vision, and we have a lot of people up here that have different visions. But I think I used an analogy one time, and it's not the best analogy, but it was like the beach on Silver Lake. You know, if this board had to vote on, there's no beach there now, and we had to, you know, we had to put a beach in Genesee County, or in Fenton Township, and you have to find a lake, and it's gotta be this size, and this board's gotta vote on it. I guarantee you, no matter where we'd wanna put it, you talk about 30, we would have 400 sitting here. So, let me ask you the question. How many people does it take? In that question, more than 400. Because you know why? That beach is gonna be enjoyed by 17,000 people in this township. And not only that, people outside this township. So, you ask a question, but it depends. It depends on a lot of things. The boat launch. If this board had to make a decision on that boat launch that's sitting over there, can you imagine the 50 people that lived around that at 7 o'clock in the morning every day listening to engines racing every morning as they put their fishing boats in? There would be 900 people on Lake Fenton that would be in this room right now demanding that we vote no. What would the board do? Is it the 900 people on Lake Fenton? Or is it the whole township that wants that boat launch so they can put their boats in, that they can enjoy fishing with their grandkids? So you ask a question, how many is enough? Is 15 enough? I have no idea. Is 30 enough? I don't know. Is 200 enough? I have no clue. It depends. I'm gonna vote on an item based on what I feel is right for the township as a whole. So, to answer your question, I think it's a tough question to ask.
My other question now is, how many people have actually turned in that survey that went out? Because my understanding is they have until the 7th.
So we've had about 650 online, and then I have a box that I'm guessing probably about another 400.
Okay, so a little over 1,000?
Probably my guess at
Okay.
this point.
All right, and then you're gonna make the results known?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's a large enough sample, so you could do a large enough for an SRS, so you could figure out a standard deviation. I mean, we could, it will, you know,
Okay.
so.
Can't you do that with everything?
What
I
do you
mean, if there's 1,000 that come in, now we got 16,000 that haven't, so.
Well, if you did a
could just-
statistical analysis of 30 people that came in, and we have 17,000 people, if you did it, if that was an SRS, your standard deviation would be what, 292 million? It would be statistically
Insignificant.
But you're
insignificant.
also, I think you're looking at the fact that everybody that doesn't turn their, doesn't give a response, you're saying it could be the opposite response. And to me, the people that don't show up don't care, and if they don't care, I'm gonna weigh the amount of, the people that actually come and express their interest. I'm not going to, every comment we've ever had is less than 1% of the entire population as a whole, so why are we listening to any comments if it's such a, you know, such a small sample that it isn't representative of the township as a whole? I'm gonna listen to people that actually come up here and talk. And I'm not going to assume the other 16,970 that didn't talk are for whatever set project that we have. Because to me, if they're not, it's like if they're not voting, they don't really have a reason to, they don't have a say. If you're not gonna tell us what you want, I'm gonna listen to the people that do tell us what they want. My opinion.
Talk about statistics while we're talking about zoning.
We talk about exclusionary zoning too,
Yeah, okay.
so, okay.
We might have to buy lunch though. All the weapons have to be left at home now.
Fair. Okay.
You also have to remember that we all have lives, as do you, but you guys get paid to be here, and we don't.
What
I
you-
know it's not
you-
much, I know it's a stipend, I get it, but you guys get paid to be here, you get paid to do what you guys do, and we don't. We come here because we care, but not everybody has that luxury.
And you think because we're paid, we don't care?
I know, that's not what I said, don't put that word in my mouth, I
Okay,
didn't
well,
say
that's the
that.
impression that I got from what you were saying.
No, I said because you get paid, you have to be here.
No, I was late.
Yes, I know.
I was working.
I'm aware of that.
You know, you just made his point, and you just was against Mark. Because the bottom line is that what you just said was, we're not paid to be here. So the other 17,000 doesn't
No.
mean they don't care. Bottom line is, they've got lives, and they can't afford to be here. So maybe the 20 that are most affected are here.
Yeah,
Maybe
but it didn't matter.
17,000 said, I've got a very smart board that we elected, and they're gonna make the right decisions for me. I'm
I
not saying
don't-
anything negative,
I
I'm
think-
just,
No, I think that you're missing my point. I think you're completely missing my point. I did not
Explain it
prove
again.
you right. I said that the people who did make it here
Mhm.
are coming here, we're not being paid to be here. We're coming here to express our thoughts and our concerns, and we're doing it because it's important to us.
and I
Okay.
believe that.
Okay, but, and the other people who can't make it aren't, they, you know, that's not, doesn't mean that they don't have an opinion, they just can't express it or whatever. But the people who are here, who are making the effort, who are saying how they feel and what their concerns are, and you're basically have said that it's not enough of a turnout for you.
You're misunderstanding me.
Well, you're
Take a look
misunderstanding
at
me.
Congress, take a look at the country. I mean, if
Bad
400 people
example.
show up at the White House,
Horrible example.
what?
Bad
Horrible
Yeah, that's
example.
probably a bad example. Well, my other ones weren't
Anyway.
great either, so.
But thank you for answering my question.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Before you leave, you're all talking about how many numbers, okay? You're not listening to what I'm telling you. The count doesn't matter when it comes to zoning, okay? What matters is the plan and the compliance with the plan, and the infrastructure questions are all good. It's not a question of how many people are in favor of or how many are against it. You don't have to worry about what the right number is, because the number isn't what's important. But what's important is whether it's consistent with the master plan, whether it's consistent with the zoning categories and the future land use classifications, and is there infrastructure?
But things were changed at the last minute to help accommodate.
Okay, you say that, and I understand that's the narrative that's being advanced. but if you go back for 40 years, this area of land has always been future land use for industrial kinds of uses. 40 years. There were 2 years, or whatever the number is, where a planner come in and said, that road won't support that kind of use, and we changed it for 2 years. It's 2 out of 40. And you lose that perspective when you say you came in and you changed it at the last minute. No, it's been that way for 40 years. And the only reason it's different is because the road was incompatible for that use. You change the master plan when something changes. What changed? There was a new road that came in that connects to 2 county primary roads. There was water, there was sewer, and it's still sitting next to a freeway. So it's not last minute, and it literally is. It was a last minute change to reflect changed circumstances over something that's been here for 40 years. No shock.
Thanks. Anybody else that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? Yes, sir.
Quick question.
It's a question, Jack. It's a question.
That's all we got so far. You say your question? That's all we got.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, this is regarding the Tory Ruth channel improvement. Right now, Eagle, my understanding is that Eagle won't permit any contractor if everybody's not 100% on board. And knowing that, I know there's 2 residents, one of them being me, that aren't approving it, why does the assessment move forward? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's stopped at this point, or maybe there's a way to get around it, I don't know. Just curious as to why that moves forward. Seems like it'd be maybe not a waste of time for you, but just curious.
Well, typically on these things, I might, because I got here late, sorry.
Yeah.
I might have missed it.
I tried.
Might have missed the issue. I know you didn't.
I tried.
I wouldn't be here if you didn't text me. I was working hard at work, making, whatever. But, typically what we try to do as a board, and I'm speaking for Tucker again, not for the entire board, we try to figure out what the majority of the folks in the district want.
Sure.
And you never get 100%. You just don't. That's not the way it is, to the point where we've gone beyond what the statute requires, and a lot of times we will look beyond, some of them are based on frontage numbers or whatever, but we actually look at the number of folks involved, and we try and make sure that we get a majority of the people.
Sure.
And so when we do that, we make some of them happy, we make some of them unhappy. That's never happened here before.
No.
So,
Never.
that's our lot in life.
Oh, yeah,
We have to make
understood.
decisions,
Yeah.
and, but that's what we're trying to do. And why something would move forward is because the majority of people want it to. I don't think anybody in here has got a dog in that particular race.
Okay.
And if you do, you gotta abstain.
And go ahead.
Well, that's why the collection wasn't gonna happen until the work occurs, so we're not collecting from you guys.
Sure,
and have to
understood.
back
I
off.
just wondered.
I just wanted to reiterate that.
If
so.
Eagle stops
Formality,
the
just
job,
wanted-
Yeah,
Eagle
then
stops
it's
the
just
job. We don't have
it holds
anything to
up.
do with it.
Correct.
Just curious.
Yep.
That's-
Yeah. We just set up the district as what the majority of the residents want. We have nothing to do with what
We're the
happens.
We're the bankers.
That's
got
all
you.
we are.
And
Understood.
like the resolution said, nothing happens till December following the year is completed.
Okay.
So Eagle can't come out and say, well, we'd approve it, but you don't have a resolution establishing a special assessment.
Okay.
So if it doesn't happen now, it's gonna be Eagle's fault because they didn't get the approvals that they required.
Understood. Okay. You've answered my question.
All right, thank you.
And I won't hold any against anybody. Thank you.
Anyone else here tonight that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? You got another one?
I have a different item. I was trying to hold it back, but I guess I can't. I'm just gonna kind of read this. This is based on me either being at, observing, or whatever, multiple meetings, that I don't think a lot of other residents understand how things work, as I didn't understand how things work, and I still don't completely understand, and obviously I figured it out. But feel like unless somebody stands up and says something, the 2 people that are on Zoom and the 4 people in the audience is all that's gonna listen, but I guess that's 6 people. Better than 0. I have sent questions to the township directly and spoke with people and not getting any answers because I don't think, I don't know. Do I have to FOIA for answers? Do I have to legally send an attorney to ask a question? I don't really understand, but when I ask questions and I literally don't get answers, it concerns me. I've sent emails, not answered. It concerns me. As far as all this growth stuff that's going on, this is basically what I'm trying to, speak our piece about, which I know many, 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 many residents feel the same way I feel, but they won't either take the time to stand up here and say anything or ask questions, or whatever reason they won't get in front of people and ask questions. So I have a few times and doing it again. Some of the questions I've asked, does township currently have all areas or have an area for all approved uses? That wasn't answered, but during various meetings, that's obviously been answered because you have to legally, blah, blah, blah. I asked if, for example, there's retail zoning area already in existence, but hypothetical, all retail land already has business on it, and I wanted to build an additional store, would the township have to add retail district, add more land use, even if it's not in the master plan, to do that? Again, not answered. Or can the township turn down my application because there's no open land that's already in that zone? No answer. But during other board meetings, some board members have asked some of these questions, and it's been answered. No, you guys don't have to expand a commercial area or a retail area or an ag area, whatever. You don't have to expand it. But it hasn't been known or made known to the public that. Does the Township of Fenton have to, by law, take out ag zoning? Because one of the board members, said, hey, I want ag, we wanted ag, I want ag on ag. And some of the ag's been shrunk. You don't have to do that. Does the township have to update or change the master plan, reducing ag or R2, or can it decide not to add more heavier zoning use planning? Again, not answered, but answered in meetings over the last few months. That's basically said, no, you don't have to do it if you don't want. In numerous meetings, I listen to certain board members and others say they don't want growth, then say you can't stop it. They have proven this is misleading at best. They know the laws and the rules. They won't have explained them to the public in a productive way and show the citizen how this all works. The board continue to answer citizens' questions with short answers that sound good but don't tell the whole story. For example, I asked 5 different ways of forming the same sentence. How is the town center district not adding land use to the current land? I was shut down by saying it doesn't. This is partially true. The board could explain to the citizen they know is right, but don't have to tell them they're right simply because I was not asking a thorough enough question. Is not being a good steward to the public as elected official. Anyone on the board could have simply said, well, the overlay doesn't change the zoning to the land use, but as soon as someone puts in an application to one of the additional land uses, you have overlaid single-family home, you pretty much have to approve it. So it's like, yes, the specific question I asked wasn't answered wrong, but you you guys know there's 3 more steps, and what I'm getting at is right, you know, and what I'm getting at is the town center area. You know, I'm concerned that, hey, you could build things around the schools, you can do this, you can do this. And when you just get shut down standing here at the podium of no, 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 but then I sit at enough meetings to find out, you know, I actually wasn't wrong. I didn't ask the question 100% to the T right to get the answer that was needed said, but for people on the board that understand, all you had to say is, yeah, it doesn't change the zoning, but if you buy the land or if you sell the land and then you put in a zoning application, we pretty much have to approve it in fear of being sued. You know, be fair to the conversation and say what's going on. That's the lion's share of what I've got to say. Obviously, I don't want the town center district. This goes on and says that. Obviously, I've figured out by now that until you guys change the master plan, there's nothing anybody can do to keep that from happening or somebody buying a chunk of that land and doing that. That's why I asked earlier, is there anything being done to reconsider the master plan? You guys said it is. Hopefully that's good. To his point and others, you know, the last time you guys did a master plan, the last survey you did prior to the last master plan had horrible participation. You should have realized you needed to do something different, but nothing was done or you chose not to. You also had somewhere around 67% of responses showing they did not want expanded growth, things that the master plan promotes, and you did it anyways. Well, why'd you do it? Did you do it because 68% didn't respond, or you needed 17,000, or, you know, what's the deal? I don't get it. I don't have anything written on this, but your survey that you did put out, you know, nowhere in that survey does it say you don't have to do any of these things. It asks about what type of growth do you like? What is good growth to you? Do you want this, 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 or this? Nowhere in there does it say you don't have to have any of it. Again, I don't think it's being super fair. Hopefully you'll take your survey that you've put out, and hopefully you'll take the survey that the Lake Association put out. I don't know if they've given you the results yet, but you know, if you got 700 people, I think they'll have hundreds more that are answering survey questions to basically the same survey you're asking, and hopefully you'll take it into account. But it's quite disappointing. I'm spiraling in circles here, but you know, part of it is you guys don't want growth. Even you said, you know, you were able to turn down a truck stop because of this, and infrastructure. Well, then why vote for more infrastructure? Why go to the state and try to get more infrastructure? Why try to get more money and more funding for more and more infrastructure if you don't want growth? You know, so that's all I really got to say.
Jeff, before you go, I do not think the question that you asked, which was actually a very good question you formulated, if you got this space identified for that use, and it's all occupied, and somebody else comes in, I don't think that question has been answered here, because, you know, I have a lot familiar with that thing. I don't know the answer with certainty to that question. What I think is that you have to provide additional area if there's a demonstrated need for that use beyond what's already there. Don't quote me on that, because I'd have to do legal research to do that.
Right.
You have to realize there's limitations up here. There are no, you know, I know a lot more about zoning than a lot of people do just because of what I do for a living. But there are limits to what I know, there's limits to what everybody sitting up here knows in terms of that thing. But if you're thinking that the answer to that question is we don't have to do it, I'm afraid you might draw some wrong conclusions from that. But what I do know is that if you're saying that you want an option to say, I don't want any development in the town center area, that dog won't hunt, okay?
You can reduce the size of the town center area.
You can reduce the size of it, you can limit what uses go in there, and that's what the overlay actually does. 'Cause right now it's zoned something, and it allows things to happen in that zoning. The overlay is designed to restrict down what can go in there, and that's what we're trying to find
It can't
out.
restrict it though.
Yeah.
If, for example, between 23 and Torrey Road, South Thompson, North of Laring, that area, which is what I asked you about in that previous meeting,
Yeah.
if that area is currently zoned R2, that town center overlay, please correct me if I'm wrong, but 100% does not reduce the uses. It opens it up to additional uses.
Well, there's existing zoning there right now. Mike, what is it? We got a mix in there?
Mix of ag and single-family residential.
Which are both less than
Right.
all the things in
Right.
town center.
So
So
leaving
town
it as
center
it is.
would expand it
Yeah.
if somebody put in
Right.
an application.
So to your point about leaving it as it's zoned currently, that's an option. It doesn't have to change anything else. You don't have a town center, maybe you don't want it. I don't know, that's fair.
And that's what, you know, from the, you know, certainly a billion people online, a billion people on Facebook, but people I've physically talked to myself personally, and hundreds of survey questions answered. It is not what the public wants. It's not what they wanted in 2022 with the whopping 200 participants that answered. They didn't want it then, and now the answers you're getting is people don't want it now. You know, more than the majority didn't want it then. So I'm really having a hard time understanding why you guys aren't listening to the public. And I have a more difficult time understanding why some of you will sit up here and say you don't want growth, you don't want this. But you must have had enough people vote to expand that master plan.
People that tell you that they can stop development or growth are selling you fool's gold.
There's a difference between stopping it
Right.
and
Yes.
keeping it as what it is.
Agree.
And there's
Well,
a difference
no,
between.
No, there's no difference. If you say, I want it, I love it the way it is, close the door behind me, that dog does not hunt.
Well, I think that it would be worth, you know, and obviously, I can't ask or tell you to do something, but I think it would be worth you looking up the legal, to my question. If the township already had what it legally has to have by the state of every area,
Understand the question?
and you can reduce those areas down, which is a second part of the question, but can you reduce those areas down, which you've already said you can. So can you reduce them down? Okay, if you have them all, if you reduce them down, and third part would be, then somebody comes in and says, hey, do you have to go next door? Answer it. And I'm not saying answer it. I know what he's saying. I know you don't want him to answer it,
Yeah,
and don't
the
answer it.
the problem here, if I can interject, what he said many, many times in his presentation here is things that individuals said that is perceived as the board speaking. And when you're doing the same thing now, which, do it, I mean, I don't care, but you're giving legal advice for one thing, and this involves, there's no pat answer to this. I understand his frustration, I understand the board's frustration, but from my standpoint as a township attorney, this isn't going the way I would perceive it should go. And you're giving advice.
No advice, Kevin.
Well, yeah, you are.
I'm giving
You're-
no advice. I'm telling
You're
him
telling him
his
how
reasoning.
legal things go, and really, if he wants to get an attorney, he should hire you or hire whoever. I mean, he couldn't do it for Fenton Township. But what you're doing here is having this dialogue, making a presentation both from this end and that end. And again, that's what I was addressing before, and you can do whatever you want, but I just want to point that out that,
Well, this goes to the point I was making, though. He read a lengthy letter that had certain things built into it that he is presuming is true. And if you sit there and
Right.
let him do that, and you don't say, hey, wait a minute, one of your premises is bad, or 10 of your premises are bad, they don't ever get the feeling.
there were a whole bunch of them, I think, 1 or 10, but yeah.
I know, I know, and, you know, but that's what I'm saying, is if you just sit here, he's gonna walk out thinking what he said was accurate, He's gonna get online and say,
I
I
don't-
went to the meeting
I don't-
and they said this and such.
I'm intelligent enough, and I understand what you're getting at.
Yeah.
I'm intelligent enough to know that me standing here does not know all the rules and laws. So I am not saying I'm right. It's infinite that I'm right, you're wrong. Like, I'm not saying that at all. And to Jack's point, don't answer me sitting here. I am totally fine with that. But what I am saying is, somehow the public needs to know how to ask a question that they can get an answer to, because I don't know how to do that. And my biggest point is, again, you don't have to answer what I'm saying, but as the board, please hear what I'm saying, because I'm not the only one that is saying this or feels this way. So please take into account that the lion's share and majority of the citizens of this township that are taxpayers don't want a bigger town center, don't want a bigger commercial area, don't want a bigger any of those things. And it's just fact. I mean, you got your survey, you got your results from then, you got this survey, which I personally think is skewed in a way that it's gonna get you answers that are pro-growth, because there's nowhere in there really that says, hey, you don't have to have it, or whatever. But there's other surveys, and there's other groups of people that are giving you guys information that I'm not involved in, but there's people giving you feedback. And currently, it does not seem to the public, not just me, but the public does not feel that you're listening. I personally think, and I could be wrong, so I'm not an attorney, I don't know, I personally think you guys are stuck because of fear of being sued because of your master plan, and I think until you change your master plan, you're stuck. But I don't know, that's just my 20 cent sat in 6 meetings, and that's what I'm pulling out of it. So, I'm not the only one saying this or thinking this.
Thank you.
Yep.
You've been very generous tonight. We usually keep it to 3 minutes, so.
Sorry.
And we will in the future, just so you know if you want to return, but we do appreciate you coming tonight. I really do.
Can I say something here? Sir, please, I'm only speaking for Bob Krug, but your input and anybody else's input from the community, regardless what the subject is important to me. And I'll take the chance, it's important for the whole board to hear what you folks are concerned about.
I think it is, and I think you all want to hear it. I'm not here to attack anyone. I just, like I said,
No,
people won't get up and speak.
yeah, just don't look at us and say, well, they wouldn't respond, to hell with them, and not come back.
I do have one
Thank you.
question, if you don't mind. You said that you reached out to the township. Can you tell me how you reached out to the township? Because if I would've received an email from you, if it was zoning, I'll be honest with you, I would've forwarded it to Mike. You don't have to come back up if you don't want, but, I mean, it's very rare. Well, actually, in my 5 years sitting in the seat, I've never had one person say I sent you an email that I never received. So I know I'm receiving them all, so I can't use that as an excuse, well, you know what, you got blocked by our firewall, because it's not true.
Yeah, it's, you know, I almost didn't even come up here.
All I'd like that answer, I don't wanna relitigate everything, I would just like to know who you sent it to.
I'll give you.
Because you said the
I
town,
will-
you said township, and nobody's
I will-
responding.
I will give you that answer, but, like I said, I almost didn't even come up here, because I don't wanna make an enemy of you.
No
I don't
problem.
wanna make an enemy of you, I don't wanna make an enemy of any of you. And if you come up with anything confrontational, it can turn into that, and then you got social media and all the BS. Like, I don't want to come up and be anything negative. I don't wanna throw anybody under the bus. I think the reason the person didn't answer me is because I made an error in my question. And I made the error in my question because John will often answer a question, and he will say, the township can get sued. Well, in my question to Mike Deem was, I'll just read it for context, because unfortunately, you have to be what it is. But, one of these, I think I used the word sued, or, yeah, this one. So, one of the questions I asked him was, if I wanted to build additional store, blah, 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 retail district, or not, district to not lose a lawsuit. I used the word law, attorney, lawsuit, whatever in the question. So he probably automatically wouldn't answer me, which if I had his job, I wouldn't answer me either, because he would potentially think that I'm on the witch hunt, threatening a lawsuit to the township. And that's not what I was intending to do, and it's not what I was doing. So, that's why, I don't know, I'm not trying to speak for him, but I think that's why he didn't answer the question.
Okay.
And then I did email him, and it probably is throwing up the food chain all the way to Jack maybe, and, I don't know why you guys aren't answering it, but there's a phone call and an email, and I shouldn't have used that word, because that, to you guys, would seem threatening. I didn't mean it that way. It wasn't a threat. It was literally just trying to reiterate, hey, if we do this, can this happen? And that's probably why I didn't answer.
Okay, is there anyone else here that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? Yes, Julia?
I will keep it quick.
All right.
I've been sitting here, I've been to a lot of the meetings, as you guys all know. I'm the assessor of Fenton Township. And I have a lot of people come into my office and ask a lot of questions. And as anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very detailed person in explanation. I grew up here. I've been here for the whole 60 years of my life, in one capacity or another. If we could turn the clock back of when I grew up what was here, it would be a lot different. But the thing that I want to say is that you board members are voted in to represent the township. You each have an individual job to do. Not each and every one of you knows the other job that the other one does. Therefore, we go to somebody else to get the information that we need. What I'm seeing, and I'm kind of frustrated by it, is each and every board has criteria that they have to follow. Doesn't mean that they agree with it or disagree with it. There's criteria, and if certain criteria in making a decision is met, then you most definitely should vote that way. It's like me. I have a lot of personal opinions on the job that I do. However, I'm mandated by state law to do and make the decisions that I do. Do I like to do some of the things that I'm required to do by law? No, I don't. But that's what my job entails, and I have to follow the state. Another thing that I think the biggest thing is that when the public is here talking about these things, about tough situations that we have to make, they don't have your job, they don't have your experience. They don't know what that criteria is that influences your decision. You can be influenced by a lot of things, but when it comes down to in the talk of what your requirements are to vote one way or another, they don't know that. They don't know, they think, if you take the general public and see you as a board up here, they think you guys can make the decisions that you want to make, and you can say yes or no to anything without having a responsibility of reliability as to why you made that decision. And I think that's kind of like what Jeff was talking about. I don't know if there's criteria. I mean, I would suggest that those people that are out there do their research a little bit more, educate themselves a little bit more about what's required during a vote, no matter what board it is. And that's all I'll say about that, but my next thing is I am here to plead with everybody, because Fenton Township is a great place to work and it's a great place to live. I've worked at other places, I lived in other places, and I will tell the public, the board, anybody, you are the most open board that I have ever come in contact with. With meeting with the public, with being a public servant. Yourself, the people that are employed upstairs, they go out of their way to service the residents. And you don't see that in other places. But I strongly want to encourage every person in this township, not just the people that come to the meetings, take 5 minutes when the master plan is out. Write an email for 5 minutes. Let the board know what the comments are. So we're not guessing about the information that we don't have. It doesn't take that long to write an email, to make a phone call, to show up to a board meeting for 5 minutes at the end and just make a comment. The public input is important, and not only when there's a big issue coming up, at all times. And I think we need to strongly encourage our community to have more public comment and more public input so that the board can make an informed decision.
Thanks, Julia. Is there anyone else that is attending tonight that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? Hearing none, we have no one on Zoom tonight. Melissa, you have a great night. My best to Alan. And I will now close public comment. It is now 7:55 p.m. And if there's nothing else, I say good night and the meeting is adjourned.